Shalom. First and foremost, all praises, all honor, and all glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Achakwadash. Double honor to the apostles, the elders of Great Millstone who taught me this truth. Peace, blessings, and safety unto the Lord's elect. In this article of the recent United Nations ruling, they have officially declared the transatlantic slave trade as the greatest crime against humanity, which them doing that further proves, that's another point of evidence that proves that we are the biblical Israelites, because what the Lord was going to put the Israelites through, no other nation was going to be put through. Okay, the brutality, the level of cruelty, and the level of coordinated oppression, because though it says the transatlantic slave trade, the same people were oppressed during the sub-Saharan slave trade and the Silk Road slave trade. This was a coordinated effort by all of these nations to bring down the nation of Israel, which today in these times, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Seminole, and Native American Indians of Negro and Indian descent according to the seed of the Father. Now, the only nations that did not agree to this declaration was the United States of America and the land of Israel, or the country or state of Israel, I should say. Okay, where you have those small hats, those people that wear those small hats that are pretending to be the Israelites, but they fit in zero prophecies of the Israelites. Because if they did, then the United Nations would have ruled the Holocaust the greatest crime against humanity, but they didn't. They ruled the transatlantic slave trade, and you know that has to piss some of those small hats off. The point of this video is that the truth is coming out, and the Bible, like I said, backs up what the United Nations has just declared. Now, I want to be clear, like I said, all nations played a part in taking us down. It was a coordinated effort by all of the heathen nations, all of the other representatives of the United Nations. They played a part in our downfall as well. It was a transatlantic slave trade. Like we always say, trade. In order to trade with someone, in order to trade, I should say, you have to have someone to trade with. So the white man wasn't just trading with white men. They were trading with the so-called Africans. Okay, they were trading with the so-called Arabs. They were trading with the so-called Chinese in the Silk Road slave trade. The Arabs was the sub-Saharan slave trade. All of these nations, they all traded us for property. And it was and still is the greatest crime against humanity. But there's going to be a time of trouble worse than that soon to come. So put that in perspective, because the Bible talks about Jacob's trouble, and it says that there shall be a time of trouble such as never was since there was a nation, even to that same time. So the days that are shortly ahead of us are going to be worse than chattel slavery, because there's going to be a whole lot of killing. There's going to be a whole lot of death. At least in slavery, you were oppressed, but you were kept alive. In the times to come, it's just going to be open season, elimination, seek and destroy. It says on March 25th, 2026, the United Nations General Assembly adopted a landmark resolution declaring the transatlantic slave trade, and for that matter, you might as well throw in the sub-Saharan slave trade and the Silk Road slave trade, and the radicalized chattel enslavement of Africans as the greatest crime against humanity, calling for dialogue on reparatory justice, formal apologies, and the return of stolen artifacts. We're not going to get none of that. We're not going to get none of that until the Lord comes back. The Lord is going to restore our stolen artifacts. He's going to give us reparatory justice, true reparations, which is going to be to have you nations in slavery. Okay? That's what the Lord is coming back to give us. We don't want that from you. We just want to continue to finish out our punishment until the Lord set us on top. Now, this is Daniel chapter 9. Daniel chapter 9 and 12. It says, I'm going to start at 11. It says, yeah, all Israel have transgressed thy law, even by departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore the curse is poured upon us, and the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of God, because we have sinned against him. That's why those things happened to us in the first place, because the Lord put that curse upon us, according to the oath that Moses spake in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. And I'll read one scripture from that chapter as well. It says here in verse 12, and he hath confirmed his words, which he spake against us, meaning he made it come to pass. He hath confirmed his words, which he spake against us, and our judges that judged us, by bringing upon us a great evil, which the United Nations are calling the greatest evil. For under the whole heaven have not been done as hath been done upon Jerusalem. So under the entire heaven, on the entire earth, nothing has been done like what has been done unto the children of Israel. You so-called niggas, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. You're the most oppressed. You are the most oppressed. And these things happen to us so that we can, again, identify as the Israelites. Just like you put a sign on a building to identify what restaurant it is, or you put a sign on a pole to identify what direction you're going to or what city you're headed to. These bits and pieces of history are like signs on a pole to tell us, look, you're an Israelite. Deuteronomy 28:46 says, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder. So it should make you wonder, why was this the greatest crime against humanity? Why was it done against us? You know? Why did nobody else sell the Chinese on auction box and lynch the Chinese by the hundreds of thousands or millions? Why did nobody slaughter the so-called Arabs in their homeland and burn them out of their teepees or whatever they was living in? Okay? It's because they were not the children of Israel. They were not the people that were under the curse that was poured upon them, spoken by the servant Moses. Okay? So it's supposed to make you wonder. It says, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. So now, here in the end, these signs is really speaking. It said at the end it shall speak and not lie. So right now, the things that are written about us is really, really showing itself that, okay, we are the true chosen people. 1 Maccabees 2 verse 10, what nation have not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? So yeah, it's true. All of these nations are guilty of partaking in our spoils and in our downfall. Okay, and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai is going to restore, like I said, he's going to restore our riches from these nations. Well, first, he has to destroy America. Babylon the Great, which is the only, America and the land of Israel, the only two countries that did not agree with this declaration. And you could only understand why. Because these are the two nations, where scriptures speak about these two nations, these two kingdoms. Let me get that real quick. Because these two nations, being the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom of the nation of Israel, America had them in their possession. They're the main ones that carried out that oppression. And so there's no accountability or truth coming from the so-called white man. This is why we call him the devil that the Bible speaks of. Especially them small hats, okay, who have straight up hijacked the Israelites, the true Israelites' culture. It says in Ezekiel 35 and 11, let me see, Ezekiel 35 and 10, it says, because thou hast said, these two nations and these two countries shall be mine. The two nations is the northern kingdom and the southern kingdom. And the two countries are the dwelling places that the Israelites were at, which is the land of Israel and also the Americas before Columbus got here and the conquerors got here. But it says, these two countries shall be mine, and we will possess it, whereas the Lord was there. So those two countries, America and Israel, is the main countries that the Edomites, the wicked, sought to take into their possession, and they're pretending that the Lord is with them in these countries. You know, America is all about God bless America and swear your hand on the Bible, and we're a God-fearing country, but we put niggers in slavery for 400 years. We beat their ass, we burned them by the stake, We had lynched them. And before that, we slaughtered 78 million Native Americans. And we made them go to war against each other because we couldn't beat them by ourselves. And you see, this man is a fucking clown, man. But see, the world is you're being exposed, man. You're being exposed, and that's what the Bible said will happen to you here in these last days. All of your sins, the sins of thy youth. Let me go there in Job. Your bones are full of the sins of your youth, and you don't want to acknowledge it and take accountability. See, you devils, you don't take accountability. You like women. That's a womanish trait. The inability to take accountability and say, yeah, I fucked up. Yeah, I did that. That was wrong. Yeah, I need to give some type of justice. But see, the Lord wants you like this because it's going to justify what we're going to do to your ass in the kingdom, man. Because let's say if you was just any bit of righteous, if you was any bit of just, the Lord could have mercy on you. The Lord don't want to show mercy to you, man. That's in the book of James. It said, for you shall get judgment without mercy because you showed no mercy. Let me get that, James. And mercy rejoiceth against judgment. This is James 2:13. For he shall have judgment without mercy that shewed no mercy. And mercy rejoiceth against judgment. So we ain't gonna have no mercy in the judgment that you give you because you didn't show us no mercy. None of you other nations. And you have no problem with being the only two countries to tell the world you don't give a fuck about our slavery. That must be why you make all them Hollywood movies about it. Job chapter 20. Job chapter 20 and verse 10. It says, his children shall seek to please the poor, and his hands shall restore their goods. His bones are full of the sin of his youth. The sin of his youth is the child of slavery and the great evil that the so-called white man put you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Native Americans through. How the fuck do you think you got to the point where you speaking English? Or you speaking Spanish? Do you think you just wanted to learn the white man's language? If that was the case, you would still be speaking your other original language. You would be bilingual. He beat your original language out of you, and he made you, forced you, raised you to speak his language. That's what went down. He separated you from your family. That's why you don't know where your roots go back to, what African nation your roots go back to, what African country your roots go back to, because he separated whole families. Babies from mothers' breasts. Teenagers from fathers. Husbands from wives. His bones are full of the sins of his youth, meaning what? It's all coming out, man. It's being exposed. The sins of your youth, your history. And the dirtiest history of it all is the fact that you are the Edomites. That's the part of your history that you really don't want to come out. Okay, yeah, slavery. Okay, yeah, Jim Crow. Okay, whatever. But let us bring out the fact that you the Edomites. That's what you hate the most. That's what you're afraid of the most. Because once the wicked is revealed, the Edomites are revealed. All right, then the Lord is going to take your ass out of the way. Job 20:11, his bones are full of the sins of his youth, which shall lie down with him in the dust. Though wickedness be sweet in his mouth, though he hide it under his tongue, though he spare it and forsake it not, but keep it still within his mouth. Yet his meat in his bowels is turned, it is the gall of the ass within him. So your wickedness is the reason why you're going to be destroyed, man. And so Salaki, because I'm at work. But verse 20 says, verse 18, Job 20:18, I'll close here. That which he have labored for shall he restore, and shall not swallow it down. According to his substance shall the restitution be, and he shall not rejoice therein. Because he have oppressed and have forsaken the poor, because he have violently taken away an house which he buildeth not. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. He shall not save of that which he desired. So the Lord is going to restore us Everything that you got, you stole it. That's why it says, according to your substance shall the restitution be. You don't have anything that's yours. And the Lord's going to show you that nothing is yours, and He's going to give everything that you have. It's going to be distributed amongst the Israelites. So Lord, when it's edifying, I want to give all praise, all honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Achak Kodash, Kone Asherala, Shalom.